Well, 12 News is your election headquarters, and Election Day is here for the primary races. I'm Nick Canizales.
And I'm Cladra Rhodes. The polls are open, and we want to make sure that you're prepared. There are more than 30 polling locations across Jefferson County for voters to make their voices heard. And one of those locations is Rogers Park in Beaumont.
Yeah, 12 News reporter Daniela Tubwata-Palau is out there right now. Daniela, how's it looking out there?
Nick, Cladra, I voted here this afternoon, and as you can see right here, there is a bigger line. When I voted, it was taking me just less than 8 minutes. I spoke to some voters, and they said it's taking them around 10 to 20 minutes now. The primary election ballot currently holds several local and state races from U.S. Congress all the way down to County Justice of the Peace and county party leaders. I spoke with voters this morning about how long it took them to cast their ballots. Some told us they were done in just 2 minutes. Others said it took closer to 15, especially if they spent time reviewing the ballot before making their selections. Voters said the process at Rogers Park was quick and easy.
The experience was very easy, very organized, and everybody's following the rules, and they're showing their driver's license and identification and get their slip to go to vote.
To avoid delays, remember to bring a valid form of photo identification like a driver's license, a passport, and more. If you haven't made it out to the polls, you have until 7 p.m. to vote. Live in Rogers Park, Danielle Tubwata-Palau, 12 News.
All right, thank you, Danielle. And we have a full election guide on 12newsnow.com. Just text the word VOTE to 409-838-1212, and we'll send all that information straight to your cell phone. Well, one of the most watched state races is the primary battle for a seat in the United States Senate.
John Cornyn has been in the U.S. Senate for more than 20 years and is now seeking a 5th term in office. Trying to take him down is Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton and Congressman Wesley Hunt, who represents the Houston area. A poll from the Texas Politics Project at UT Austin shows Attorney General Ken Paxton with a 2-point lead on incumbent Senator John Cornyn, 36 to 34%. Congressman Wesley Hunt is polling at about 26%. With none of them clearing 50%, it may go to a runoff in May. Now, on the other side, Democratic voters are also choosing their nominee. A recent poll finds Dallas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett with a 12-point lead on State Representative James Tallarico. The winner of their race will go on to face the Republican candidate. Now, we sat down with a Southeast Texas political expert from Lamar University.
Yeah, he says that the U.S. Senate race is one of the hottest in the state. 12 News reporter Ebony Coleman has more.
Paxton and Cornyn, on most issues, they're not that radically different from one another, but Paxton is more heavily identified with the more present day, or more what some would call MAGA wing of the Republican Party. And in the past, Cornyn has been willing to compromise and try to come together with some Democrats on things like immigration reform, and in the eyes of the more MAGA wing of the party, that's seen as a weakness or a bad thing.
The stage is set for some of the biggest races in the Lone Star State for the March primary election. Lamar University political science professor Dr. James Nelson says one of them is a U.S. Senate race, with Republican frontrunner incumbent Senator John Cornyn and Ken Paxton.
Cornyn's strength is his name recognition, the fact that he's been in the office. Ken Paxton, his recent personal difficulties have raised, some issues because of his ongoing or pending divorce, allegations of infidelity.
He says the Democratic candidates are also stirring up conversation.
Jasmine Crockett, her personality and her politics kind of fit with that in some ways, that she is somebody who is not, worried too much about norms or offending people with her comments. Tallarico is less well known than she is. Tallarico is somebody who is kind of more subdued and less in that vein.
He says another race that Texans have eyes on is a seat for the Texas Senate District 3, with real estate agent Rhonda Ward and Texas House of Representative Trent Ashby vying for the seat.
Ashby is somebody who is more of a political insider. He's been in the state house before, and now he's trying to get into the state senate. Rhonda Ward paints herself as kind of more of an outsider.
He believes this race appeals to Texans because of Ward's focus on water resources.
If you look at advertising that Ward's ads have hit on, that making sure that in the eyes of East Texans, we're getting the appropriate amount of the water resources is something that's likely to be contentious going forward.
And that was Ebony Coleman reporting. Dr. Nelson says another race to watch would be the Texas Senate District 4 race.
That's right. Texans will be able to vote on that during a special elections in May. This comes after Brandon Creighton resigned back in October of 2025. Texans are also electing a new attorney general this year. On the Republican side of the primary, state senators Joanne Huffman and Mays Middleton are running, along with former DOJ attorney Aaron Reitz and Texas Congressman Chip Roy. On the Democratic side, attorney Tony Box, former Galveston Mayor Joe Jaworski, and state senator Nathan Johnson are looking to take the party nomination today. In another Texas Senate race, a candidate has received one of the largest contributions in any legislative primary this election cycle.
Yeah, this is for District 3. And AR, with our sister station, takes a look at the race between Republicans Rhonda Ward and Trent Ashby.
A major donation is shaking up the Texas Senate District 3 race. First-time candidate Rhonda Ward received $2 million from Jim Moyer, accounting for more than 90% of her total campaign funds.
And actually has invested very heavily in his community in Fairmount, but also a lot of many conservative Republicans.
Now both candidates have more than $2 million to their campaign. These are crucial for competitiveness to help level the playing field.
State House, state Senate seat, most of the money goes for advertising. And so that means that you've got enough money that you can advertise on TV. You've got a fighting chance there.
Ward previously served 2 years as the state Republican Executive Committee woman for her Senate district. She says the seat needs a conservative who fully reflects the Republican platform.
It's a neck and neck race, and every vote counts.
State Representative Trent Ashby says former Senator Robert Nichols encouraged him to run after announcing his retirement.
Honored to have his support behind me in this race. But at the end of the day, the voters get to make the decision across the 18 counties that make up Senate District 3.
Ashby says voters want a senator who is not influenced by a single donor.
They want a state senator that is not bought and paid for, that is someone that actually will answer to the voters, someone that is responsive to the voters. And, that, of course, is a big part of why I'm running.
Ashby says if elected, his top priority will be property tax relief, including expanding homestead exemptions and reforming the appraisal process.
Someone that has voted for the largest property tax cut in American history back in 2023. I look forward to building on that next session.
Ward says her campaign is focused on property taxes, the growth of Islam in Texas, and the impact of AI data centers in East Texas.
And they're coming for our land and water and our resources in East Texas and Southeast Texas. And you're going to need a senator that is going to fight for the people of Senate District 3.
But it's for the next generation and future generations to make sure that we continue to fight for those values and those issues that really make East Texas unique and such a special place to call home.
For CBS 9.
And 12 News is your election headquarters. A race is shaping up in Jefferson County Precinct 4, where voters will decide who will serve as their next Justice of the Peace. Incumbent Judge Justin Chasson is seeking another term.
His challenger, Marcelo Mo Molfino, says it's time for a new approach. 12 News reporter Spencer Plato spoke with each candidate on what they'll bring to the bench.
This is the next step, I think, to help grow our community, especially in Precinct 4, for the needs of that office and what the need of the community is.
A race for who will hold the gavel next in Jefferson County Precinct 4. Longtime community member Marcelo Mo Molfino is challenging incumbent Justice of the Peace Justin Chasson, arguing growth in the precinct calls for a new approach on the bench.
With that growth comes problems in our schools, our teenagers, our young adults, even our parents. There is substance abuse, there is mental health issues, there is all different kinds of things that the court doesn't have to just impose a sentence or cause a fine.
Molfino says he wants to make court more accessible.
We're going to try and facilitate having court out here in China so that people don't have to drive 20 miles all the way back to Finette, so that people can receive representation right where they live.
But throughout his 4-year term, Judge Chasson says his time on the bench has delivered stability.
This office is the only office in the county that ends up in the positive every year.
Chasson says fairness is the foundation of his courtroom.
I have a deep feeling in my body that I am a a fair and honest person to every person that walks into this courtroom.
He says the court isn't just fair, it's efficient.
Spent some money this past year on upgrading some stuff, you know, some computer stuff and display screens and stuff like that we have in the courtroom for cases.
For Molfino, he leaves voters with one final message.
If you want your voice heard, if you have an opinion, then you have to vote to make that heard.
Harden County voters will also decide who serves as Justice of the Peace for Precinct 1. Incumbent Judge Chris Ingram faces challenger Robert Ward Jr. in the Republican primary. Judge Ingram says he has had a strong pretense in court case decisions.
If the citizens of Harden County, and specifically the citizens of Precinct 1, want to continue that level of judicial prudence, then I would humbly ask for their vote to continue the work that we've been doing.
Challenger Robert Ward Jr. shared why this role is special for him. In a quote, Ward says he's running for the seat his father held for 40 years. He says he was taught to treat others the way they want to be treated and to lead through service. Ward adds he plans to focus on working with youth. Closer to home, though, Harden County residents must choose who will serve as their next Justice of the Peace, Precinct 3.
Yeah, Precinct 3 is the largest in Harden County, encompassing a portion of Lumberton, Kuntz, Wildwood, and more. Incumbent Judge Rod Ousley is seeking a second term, pointing to his law enforcement background and also time on the bench. Challenger Sonny Overstreet says he's running to strengthen the office's connection with the community and offer voters another option.
I believe the Justice of the Peace's office should have the closest relationship with the voters than any other county office. I've been lucky for the majority of my life that was the case, and I hope after this election I hope we return to that.
Also, Judge Rod Ousley says the position of Justice of the Peace not only requires community outreach, it also demands legal experience.
I'm a master peace officer, so that means that I had to study all of those classes and take the courses required, and 90% of them revolved around the penal code and the code of criminal procedure and the Texas rules of evidence.
Now, if reelected, Ousley says that he wants to expand outreach to local students at Kuntz and also Lumberton ISD, both within the Precinct 3 lines of Harden County. All right, now out to Orange County, where voters will choose their commissioner for Precinct 2.
Incumbent Chris Sowell is running for re-election, facing his challenger, Colleen Owens. Precinct 2 covers all of Mauriceville and Pinehurst, as well as parts of Orangefield, Fighter, and Orange. It's a task Sowell says he's equipped to handle. He says the biggest concerns he hears from residents are road conditions and drainage. If re-elected, he says he's prepared to continue the job he started 3 years ago.
We've made some tremendous improvements, but there's still work to be done, and I don't think it's done yet, and I don't think I'm finished yet, and I don't think the community wants me to be done yet. Everybody wants to pay less in taxes. They still want their ditches dug. They want their roads rebuilt. And with the improvements that we're making throughout the county, we see a pretty bright future for some of those things.
Meanwhile, Owen says she believes there should be more transparency with the commissioner's court meetings and better accessibility on the county's website.
The technology in Orange, as far as making things more available for Orange County citizens, it's not very user-friendly, the website. The meetings are held in the morning when people are at work. They're not videotaped. They're not live streamed.
She says residents have also shared ideas about county beautification in addition to concerns about drainage and street repairs. We'll be live throughout the day as results come into the newsroom. Join us on 12 News Plus at 7:30 as we break down early results at 8:42.